The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with conversations in dozens of alien languages. Admiral Lee Taman sat quietly in the corner, watching the other representatives discuss matters of war and trade. His simple gray uniform looked plain next to the colorful robes and armor worn by the other species. "The humans are here again," whispered Commander Vextar of the Kethran Empire to his neighbor. "Why do we even let them attend these meetings?" Lee Taman heard the comment but showed no reaction. He had learned long ago that staying quiet served humanity better than arguing. For 50 years, Earth had played the role of the galaxy's weakest member. They grew food, made simple tools, and kept their mouths shut during important discussions. The massive doors of the council chamber opened with a loud crash. War Commander Brixtal of the Vorthak Empire entered, his red armor gleaming under the lights. Behind him marched 20 soldiers, their weapons clearly visible. The Vorthak loved to show their strength. "Council members," Brixtal announced in his deep voice, "I bring news that will change the balance of power in this sector." The Nexari representative, a tall being with silver skin, leaned forward with interest. "Speak, War Commander. What conquest do you plan now?" Brixtal smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "We have decided to claim the human worlds for the glory of the Vorthak Empire. Their colonies produce excellent food, and their planets will make fine military bases." A cold silence fell over the room. Lee Taman felt his heart rate increase, but his face remained calm. He had trained for this moment his entire career. "The humans have been peaceful members of this council for 50 years, said Ambassador Thyra of the Althrex Collective, her psychic voice echoing in everyone's mind. "Surely this action requires council approval?" Brixtal laughed loudly. "Approval? To claim worlds from farmers and miners? The Vorthak Empire has conquered 47 species. We do not need permission to add weak humans to our collection." Lee Taman slowly stood up. Every eye in the room turned to him. He cleared his throat and spoke in a quiet voice. "War Commander Brixtal, humanity requests that you reconsider this action. We have been good neighbors to all species in this sector." "Good neighbors?" Brixtal walked over to Lee Taman, towering over the human. "You contribute nothing to galactic defense. Your ships are barely capable of interplanetary travel. Your weapons are primitive toys. Why should the galaxy protect you? We grow 40% of the food consumed in this sector," Lee Taman replied calmly. "We provide raw materials for construction projects across 12 systems. We offer medical supplies during emergencies, all of which we can take when we own your worlds," Brixtal said with another cruel smile, "along with your people as workers. The Vorthak Empire has use for strong backs, even if they belong to weak species." The Nexari representative made a gesture that seemed apologetic. "Admiral Lee Taman, while we value humanity's contributions, the Council cannot protect every species from every threat. Perhaps you should consider negotiating terms with the Vorthak Empire." Lee Taman looked around the room. These beings had accepted humanity's food and materials for decades. Now they were ready to watch Earth burn rather than risk conflict with the Vorthak. It was exactly what his superiors had predicted. "How long do we have to consider our response?" Lee Taman asked. 30 standard days, Brixtal announced. "If your government does not surrender all outer colonies by then, we will take them by force. And trust me, human, you do not want to see the Vorthak fleet in action." 30 days, Lee Taman repeated slowly. "That seems reasonable. I will relay your message to Earth immediately." Brixtal seemed surprised by the calm response. "Most species begged for mercy or made angry threats when faced with Vorthak conquest. You accept defeat so easily?" "I accept reality," Lee Taman said simply. "Humanity has always been practical about survival." The war commander nodded with approval. "Smart. Your death will be quick when the time comes." After the council session ended, Lee Tae-min returned to his small ship docked at the station. Commander Park So-jin was waiting in the communication room, her face tight with concern. "Admiral, did they really just threaten to invade our colonies?" she asked. "They did more than threaten," Lee Tae-min replied as he activated the secure communication system. "They promised it. 30 days. The holographic image of General Kim Jae-ho appeared above the communication table. His weathered face showed no emotion as he listened to Lee Tae-min's report. "Understood, Admiral," the general said when the report finished. "Continue playing your role. Make sure they think we are preparing for surrender, not resistance." "Sir, the Council offered to provide some ships for our defense," Lee Tae-min said. "Old vessels, barely functional, but they want to look like they tried to help." Accept their offer graciously, General Kim replied. Let them feel good about themselves. Meanwhile, I will activate Protocol 7. Lee Taemin nodded. Protocol 7 was something every human military officer knew about, but hoped never to see. It meant dropping all pretenses and revealing humanity's true nature to the galaxy. How long until our forces are ready, General? They have been ready for 20 years, Admiral. We just needed the right moment to show them. General Kim's image flickered as the secure connection prepared to close. Remember, Admiral, the galaxy thinks we are farmers with a few rusty ships. Let them keep thinking that for another 29 days. After the communication ended, Park So-jin stared at her commander. Sir, what is Protocol 7? They never taught us about it at the Academy. Lee Taemin smiled for the first time in hours. Commander, you're about to learn why humanity spent 50 years pretending to be weak. The Vorthak Empire thinks they are about to conquer helpless farmers. They have no idea what is really waiting for them in human space. Across the galaxy and hidden bases throughout the solar system, ancient machines began to wake up. What the aliens thought were mining stations started broadcasting new signals. Construction platforms that had been building civilian infrastructure for decades received new orders. And in the depths of space, where no alien sensors had ever looked, humanity's true fleet began to move. The Vorthak Empire had given Earth 30 days to surrender. They would need every minute of that time to prepare for the greatest shock in galactic history. The moment when the galaxy learned that humanity's greatest weapon was not technology or strength, but patience and the ability to keep secrets. War was coming. And for the first time in 50 years, humanity was about to show their true face to the stars. 3 days after the council meeting, the Vorthak ultimatum arrived at Earth through official diplomatic channels. Ambassador Choi Mi-ran read the message aloud to the emergency session of the Global Defense Committee. Her voice steadied despite the gravity of the words. The Vorthak Empire demands immediate surrender of all human colonies beyond the Sol system. Failure to comply within 30 standard days will result in total military action against all human holdings and the complete subjugation of the human species. President Lee So-young sat at the head of the table, surrounded by military leaders and civilian officials. To any observer, she looked like a woman facing the impossible task of defending her species against overwhelming odds. What are our options? She asked General Kim Jae-ho. Publicly, we have very few, the general replied carefully. Our official fleet consists of 230 vessels, mostly cargo ships converted for basic defense. The galactic community has offered assistance in the form of 50 outdated cruisers from various member species. That is generous of them, Ambassador Choi said with barely hidden sarcasm. 50 ships that were retired from service decades ago. Dr. Yoon Hye-jin, the head of Human Scientific Development, leaned forward. Ma'am, our computer models show that even with the additional ships, we would face total defeat within hours of engagement. The Vorthak War fleet consists of over 10,000 modern warships. President Lee So-young nodded slowly. Then we must consider all options for the survival of our species. General Kim, what is your assessment of our true defensive capabilities? General Kim glanced around the room. Even here, in the most secure facility on Earth, they had to be careful. Ma'am, if we were to activate all available resources, our chances would improve significantly. However, such action would require revealing certain projects that have been classified for national security reasons. I see. President Lee So-young turned to the other committee members. Ladies and gentlemen, I am authorizing General Kim to brief you on Project Sleeping Giant. Dr. Yoon, please ensure this room is completely secure. Dr. Yoon activated several devices around the conference table. All recording systems are now disabled. We are protected from any form of electronic surveillance. General Kim stood and walked to the large display screen at the front of the room. For the past 50 years since our first contact with alien species, humanity has been preparing for this exact situation. While we presented ourselves as peaceful farmers and miners, we have been building the largest military force in galactic history. The screen lit up with images that made several committee members gasp. Massive shipyards hidden inside asteroids, space stations that transformed from mining platforms into weapons factories, construction sites spread throughout the outer solar system, all disguised as civilian operations. Our mining colonies in the asteroid belt are actually fortress worlds, General Kim continued. Each one contains enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Our cargo ships carry hidden weapon systems that can be activated in minutes, and our deep space construction projects have been building warships for decades. Captain Nam Do-hyun, commander of the human cruiser Soul's Pride, raised his hand. Sir, how many ships are we talking about? Currently operational? Approximately 80,000 vessels of various classes. Another 40,000 are in final construction phases and could be combat-ready within 2 weeks. The silence in the room was complete. Ambassador Choi finally spoke. General, you are saying we have been hiding a fleet larger than the entire Galactic Council's combined forces? That is correct. But numbers are only part of our advantage. Dr. Yoon, please explain our technological developments. Dr. Yoon activated her own presentation. While alien species have focused on improving existing technologies, humanity has been developing completely new approaches to space warfare. Our weapon systems operate on principles that most alien scientists consider impossible. The screen showed test footage of human weapons in action. Energy beams that pass through enemy shields as if they did not exist. Missiles that seemed to anticipate and counter every defensive measure. Ships that moved faster than should be possible according to known physics. We have spent 50 years studying every alien technology we could access, Dr. Yoon explained. Every trade agreement, every cultural exchange, every diplomatic meeting was an opportunity to gather information. We now understand the capabilities and weaknesses of every major galactic power. Lieutenant Colonel Shin Ye-jun, who had been silent throughout the briefing, finally spoke. Ma'am, what about our personnel? The aliens think humans are weak and cowardly. They have no idea about our military training programs. General Kim smiled grimly. Every human who has served in our civilian space operations has received advanced military training. Our miners are combat engineers. Our farmers are logistics specialists. Our traders are intelligence operatives. The Vorthak Empire thinks they are facing frightened civilians. They will be fighting the most prepared military force in the galaxy. President Lee So-young absorbed all this information with remarkable calm. General, what is your recommendation for our response to the Vorthak ultimatum? We continue the deception for as long as possible, General Kim replied. Let them assemble their invasion fleet. Let them plan their easy victory. Meanwhile, we complete final preparations for Operation Revelation. Operation Revelation? The moment we drop all pretenses and show the galaxy who humanity really is. We have been the quiet ones for 50 years. It is time to speak loudly. Across the solar system, the preparations had already begun. Engineer Han Yuri worked frantically in the hidden shipyards of Ceres, overseeing the final assembly of humanity's newest dreadnought-class vessels. These ships were larger and more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. On Mars, Commander Bae Yun-seo drilled her Special Forces units in zero-gravity combat techniques. Her soldiers had trained in secret for decades, preparing for the day when humanity would need to fight for its survival. In the depths of space, Captain Lim Ji-hoon supervised the activation of weapons platforms that had been disguised as scientific research stations. Each platform contained enough firepower to level a city, and there were hundreds of them throughout the solar system. The alien news networks had begun broadcasting programs about the last days of humanity, treating the coming invasion as entertainment. Alien citizens placed bets on how quickly the Vorthak would achieve victory. Most estimates ranged from 6 hours to 2 days. Director Oh Seung-woo, head of human intelligence, watched these broadcasts with amusement from his office on Luna. For 50 years, his agents had been gathering information about every alien species, mapping their weaknesses and preparing for this moment. The galaxy thought they knew everything about humanity. They were about to learn they knew nothing at all. As the days passed, the Vorthak fleet assembled at the edge of human space. War Commander Brixtel toured his massive ships, confident in the easy victory that awaited him. His forces had conquered dozens of worlds and enslaved entire species. Weak humans would be no different. But in the depths of the solar system, humanity's true fleet was awakening. The farmers were becoming warriors. The miners were revealing themselves as soldiers. And the quiet species that had spent 50 years in the shadows was preparing to step into the light. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their numbers, but their patience and their ability to keep the most important secrets until the perfect moment to reveal them. 20 days into the Vorthak ultimatum, something strange began happening throughout human space. The galaxy's monitoring systems, which had tracked human activities for decades, started receiving confusing signals. On the Nexari homeworld, senior analyst Mordek stared at his screens in confusion. The human mining operations in the asteroid belt have gone silent, he reported to his supervisor. All communication has stopped. Equipment failure? His supervisor asked without much interest. All of them? At the same time? Sir, we are talking about 300 separate facilities across the entire belt. Similar reports came from observers throughout the galaxy. Human cargo ships that had followed the same trade routes for years suddenly changed course. Construction platforms that had been building infrastructure in deep space stopped responding to standard communications. Fleet Admiral Kang, Minho stood on the bridge of what appeared to be a simple cargo vessel near Jupiter. But appearances, he knew, could be very deceiving. Around him, his crew worked quietly at stations that looked like civilian equipment, but were actually the most advanced military systems in the galaxy. Admiral, all units report ready for Phase 1 of Operation Revelation, reported his communications officer. Excellent. Begin the transformation sequence. Throughout the solar system, the greatest deception in galactic history began to unravel. What the aliens had observed as peaceful human activities for 50 years was revealed as the most sophisticated military preparation ever undertaken. The mining station on Ceres split open like a flower, revealing massive shipyards filled with completed warships. Hundreds of vessels that had been hidden inside the asteroid's hollowed interior launched into space, their hulls gleaming with weapons that no alien species had ever seen. Colonel Bae Yun Seo watched from the observation deck of her command ship as similar transformations occurred throughout the asteroid belt. It is beautiful, she said to her aide. 50 years of work revealed in a single moment. On Earth, Director Oh Sung-woo activated communication systems that had been dormant for decades. Suddenly, every human civilian facility in the galaxy began broadcasting on military frequencies. The scattered miners, farmers, and traders revealed themselves as a coordinated military force. Sir, his aide reported, we are receiving confirmations from all sectors. The merchant fleet has activated combat protocols. Our agricultural colonies have revealed their defensive systems. Even our diplomatic vessels are showing their true capabilities. Captain Nam Do-hyun's ship, the Soul's Pride, had appeared to be a simple patrol cruiser for years. Now its hull opened to reveal weapon systems that made alien observers gasp in shock. What they had thought was a ship with minimal defensive capabilities was actually a mobile fortress. The transformation was not limited to space. On human colonies throughout the galaxy, underground facilities that had been disguised as storage areas opened to reveal massive military installations. Farms were revealed to have hidden missile silos. Mining equipment transformed into mobile weapons platforms. Lieutenant Colonel Shin Ye-jun emerged from what had appeared to be a civilian transport ship, leading a squad of soldiers in armor that incorporated technology far beyond anything the aliens had seen. All ground forces report ready, Admiral, he transmitted to Fleet Admiral Kang. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. In the outer regions of the solar system, where alien sensors had detected nothing but empty space, humanity's true fleet began to decloak. Captain Lim Ji-hoon commanded the first of humanity's dreadnought-class vessels to reveal itself. The ship was massive, larger than anything in the Vorthak fleet, and its energy readings were beyond what alien computers could properly measure. This is Dreadnought Soul to all human forces, he broadcast. The sleeping giant is awake. Across the galaxy, alien military analysts scrambled to understand what they were seeing. The Nexari, whose computers were considered the most advanced in known space, could not process the energy signatures coming from human space. Sir, Analyst Mordex reported in a shaking voice, our computers estimate that the humans have revealed over 30,000 warships in the past 6 hours, and the energy readings suggest weapons technology that should not be possible. On the Kethrin homeworld, military leaders watched the displays in stunned silence. How did we miss this? Demanded General Korovex. How did they hide such a massive military buildup? They have been planning this since first contact, his aide replied quietly. While we saw farmers and miners, they were preparing for war. The Althrex Collective, with their powerful psychic abilities, had sensed something was different about humans but had never understood what. Now their most gifted seers reached out with their minds toward human space and immediately pulled back in shock. The humans, whispered High Seer Zalandra. They have been hiding their thoughts from us for 50 years. Every human we met, every mind we touched, was showing us only what they wanted us to see. Admiral Lee Taman, who had played the role of bumbling diplomatic representative for so long, stood on the bridge of his true flagship. The transformation of his own vessel had revealed command systems that would be the envy of any alien admiral. Send a message to the Galactic Council, he ordered his communications officer. Inform them that humanity appreciates their offer of 50 outdated ships, but we have decided to handle our own defense. Sir, should we reveal our true fleet strength to them? Not yet. Let them discover it slowly. The shock will be more effective that way. The Vorthak Empire's confidence began to crack as reports reached War Commander Brixtal's fleet. His intelligence officers brought him readings that made no sense. Sir, human space is showing energy signatures consistent with a fleet of over 50,000 vessels. His aide reported nervously. That is impossible, Brixtal snarled. Humans have barely 200 ships total. Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting massive weapons platforms throughout their system. Each one appears to have more firepower than our largest battleships. Brixtal stared at the tactical displays, trying to understand what he was seeing. Are you telling me that the weakest species in the galaxy has been hiding a military force larger than our own? Sir, if these readings are accurate, they have been hiding a military force larger than the entire Galactic Council's combined fleets. For the first time in his military career, War Commander Brixtal felt a chill of uncertainty. The easy conquest he had planned was becoming something else entirely. Back in human space, Fleet Admiral Kang Min-ho reviewed the status reports from across the solar system. Phase 1 of Operation Revelation was complete. The galaxy now knew that humanity was not what they had seemed to be. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, we are detecting increased activity in the Vorthak fleet. They appear to be reconsidering their approach. Good, Admiral Kang replied. Fear is a useful tool, but they have committed to this course of action. They will not retreat now. What are your orders, sir? Admiral Kang looked at the displays showing humanity's true fleet, finally revealed after 50 years of careful deception. Continue with Phase 2. Show them what human weapons can really do. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest trick was not hiding their strength, but making their enemies underestimate them until it was far too late to change course. The Vorthak fleet arrived at the edge of human space exactly 30 days after their ultimatum, expecting to face a few hundred desperate ships defending helpless colonies. Instead, they found themselves staring at the largest military force in galactic history. War Commander Brixtal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Devourer, trying to process what his sensors were telling him. The human fleet stretched across space like a metal ocean, with ships of sizes and designs that defied everything he knew about warfare. Sir, his tactical officer reported with a trembling voice, we count over 100,000 human vessels in formation. Their energy signatures are unprecedented. That is impossible, Brixtal growled, but his confidence was shaken. Where did they hide such a fleet? Supreme Admiral Park Chan-wook had planned this moment for 30 years. He stood on the bridge of humanity's greatest achievement, the super dreadnought New Earth, watching the Vorthak fleet struggle to understand what they faced. Open communications to the Vorthak flagship, he ordered calmly. It is time for proper introductions. The view screen activated, showing War Commander Brixtal's shocked face. Behind Admiral Park, the bridge of the New Earth hummed with activity as officers in crisp military uniforms operated weapon systems that incorporated 50 years of hidden research. War Commander Brixtal, Admiral Park said politely, I am Supreme Admiral Park Chan-wook of the Human Defense Force. You demanded our surrender 30 days ago. We have come to discuss terms. You are supposed to be farmers, Brixtal stammered, staring at the massive bridge and advanced technology visible behind the human commander. We are farmers, Admiral Park replied with a slight smile. We are also miners, traders, diplomats, and 100 other things. But most importantly, we are survivors, and we have been preparing for this day since we first learned we were not alone in the universe. General Song Hae-won, standing beside Admiral Park, activated a display showing the true scope of human military preparation. War Commander, you are looking at the result of 50 years of careful planning. Every human you have met, every transaction you have observed, Every peaceful activity we have engaged in was part of a larger strategy. You lied to the entire galaxy, Brixtal accused, but his voice lacked its usual strength. We allowed you to make assumptions, Admiral Park corrected. You saw what you expected to see. Weak beings who posed no threat to your empire. You never bothered to look deeper. Commander Ryu Junseo piloted his advanced starfighter in formation with thousands of others, each craft incorporating technology that made alien fighters seem primitive. Admiral, all squadrons report ready for demonstration, he transmitted. Proceed with the demonstration, Commander Ryu, Admiral Park replied. Show our guests what human engineering can accomplish. What followed was not a battle but a carefully orchestrated display of overwhelming superiority. Human weapons fired with precision that seemed impossible, targeting specific systems on Vorthak ships without causing fatal damage. Shields that had protected the Vorthak for centuries collapsed under weapons that operated on principles alien scientists had never encountered. Sir, the Vorthak tactical officer shouted, they are disabling our weapons without damaging our life support systems. Our shields are completely useless against their energy weapons. Admiral Ko and Young, coordinating the human fleet's movements, had designed these formations specifically to demonstrate humanity's tactical superiority. Begin phase 2 of the demonstration, she ordered. Show them what our defensive capabilities look like. The Vorthak fleet attempted to return fire, launching thousands of missiles and energy beams toward the human ships. But the human defensive systems were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Energy barriers appeared from nowhere, absorbing attacks that should have destroyed entire vessels. Missiles simply vanished as if they had never existed. How are they doing this? Brixtal demanded of his science officer. Sir, their technology appears to manipulate space-time itself. Our weapons are not reaching their targets because the space between us and them has been altered. Dr. Yoon Hye-jin monitored the demonstration from her laboratory ship, watching as 50 years of theoretical research proved itself in combat. All systems performing within expected parameters, she reported. The Vorthak weapons are exactly as ineffective as our models predicted. The demonstration continued for exactly 1 hour. In that time, the human fleet systematically disabled every offensive system in the Vorthak armada without destroying a single ship or killing a single enemy soldier. It was a display of control and precision that sent a clear message. Humanity could have destroyed the entire fleet but chose not to. War Commander, Admiral Park said as the demonstration concluded. Your fleet is now completely helpless. Your weapons are disabled, your shields are down, and your ships cannot retreat. However, none of your people have been harmed. Brixtal stared at his tactical displays in defeat. His mighty fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, had been rendered completely powerless in a single hour. What do you want? He asked quietly. We want peace, Admiral Park replied. We have always wanted peace. But we also wanted to ensure that when someone threatened our peace, we could defend it effectively. Admiral Zhong Wu-jin, commanding a battle group of 50,000 ships, opened a communication channel to the Galactic Council. Council members, this is Admiral Zhong of the Human Defense Force. We are transmitting real-time footage of current events in our space. We thought you might find it educational. Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched in stunned silence as the recording showed humanity's true military might. The Nexari computers finally managed to calculate rough estimates of human capabilities and immediately flagged the results as impossible. Sir, Analyst Mordex reported to his supervisor, if these readings are accurate, the human fleet could defeat the combined forces of every galactic power simultaneously. On the Kethrin homeworld, General Korvex called an emergency session of the War Council. We need to completely reassess our strategic position, he announced. The humans are not a minor power. They may be the dominant military force in the galaxy. The Althrex Collective sent urgent psychic messages throughout their territory. Do not engage humans in any hostile action. They have been planning this demonstration of power for decades. They are far more dangerous than we imagined. Back in human space, War Commander Brixtal faced the most humbling moment of his career. What are your terms for our surrender? He asked. First, your empire will immediately cease all military expansion, Admiral Park stated. Second, you will release all enslaved populations and provide them with transportation to worlds of their choosing. Third, you will pay reparations to every species you have conquered. And if we refuse, Admiral Park's expression remained calm, but his words carried the weight of absolute certainty. War Commander, you have just seen a demonstration of our defensive capabilities and precision weapons. You have not seen our offensive capabilities. I hope for everyone's sake that you never do. General Huang Taeyong, monitoring communications from the liberated worlds, reported to Admiral Park. Sir, we are receiving surrender requests from Vorthak governors on 43 occupied planets. It appears word of this engagement is spreading quickly. The battle that was supposed to be humanity's destruction had become a moment of galactic transformation. The species that everyone had dismissed as weak farmers had revealed themselves as the most powerful military force in known space. War Commander, Admiral Park said as he prepared to end the communication, you came here expecting to conquer helpless humans. Instead, you have learned that humanity's greatest weapon was never technology or numbers. It was patience and the wisdom to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. The Vorthak Empire's age of conquest was over, ended not by a long war but by a single hour that changed everything the galaxy thought they knew about power and the quiet species from Earth. 3 months after the Vorthak surrender, the galaxy was still trying to understand how completely the balance of power had shifted. The Galactic Council chamber, once dominated by the largest military powers, now seemed small compared to the quiet confidence of the human delegation. President Lee So-young addressed the emergency session of the council, no longer the desperate leader of a threatened species, but the representative of the galaxy's new superpower. Behind her stood Admiral Lee Tae-min, who had traded his role as bumbling diplomat for his true position as humanity's chief military representative. Fellow council members, President Lee began, humanity appreciates your concern about recent events. We understand that our revelation has caused some adjustment in galactic politics. The Nexari representative leaned forward nervously. President Lee, our analysis suggests that humanity has been deceiving the galactic community for 50 years. How can we trust anything you say now? With respect, Admiral Lee Tae-min replied, humanity never lied to this council. We simply did not volunteer information that was not requested. When asked about our military capabilities, we described our official fleet accurately. We never claimed it was our only fleet. Ambassador Kim Da-eun, who had replaced Ambassador Choi Mi-ran after the revelation, presented a detailed report to the council. The human colonies that you believed were simple farming and mining operations were indeed farming and mining operations. They also happened to be defended by the most advanced military installations in the galaxy. War Commander Brixtal, now a prisoner of his own empire's surrender terms, had been brought before the council to give testimony about the encounter. His once proud bearing had been replaced by a humbled recognition of reality. The humans, he told the assembled delegates, fought the perfect battle. They disabled our entire fleet without killing a single Vorthak soldier. They demonstrated absolute superiority while showing complete restraint. In 50 years of conquest, I have never seen such control. The transformation of human space continued at an incredible pace. Admiral Zhang Wu-jin oversaw the conversion of hidden military facilities back to their dual-purpose roles. The massive shipyards continued producing both civilian vessels and military craft, no longer hiding their true function. Sir, his aide reported, the liberated worlds are requesting human protection while they rebuild their governments. Should we establish garrison fleets in their systems? Establish protective patrols only, Admiral Zhang replied. We are not conquerors. Our goal is stability, not empire. General Huang Taeyong supervised the complex process of dismantling the Vorthak Empire's military structure while maintaining order on 43 occupied worlds. Human forces worked alongside local populations to establish new governments and remove all traces of Vorthak oppression. The galaxy is watching how we handle this transition, he reminded his officers. We must prove that human power serves justice, not domination. Dr. Yoon Hye-jin found herself in the unusual position of sharing human technology with alien species for the first time. The scientific breakthroughs that had given humanity its military edge were now being offered to help rebuild destroyed worlds and improve galactic civilization. President Lee, the Althrax representative, asked during a private session, your species has demonstrated capabilities far beyond our understanding. What are humanity's intentions for the future of galactic politics? President Lee So-young considered the question carefully. Humanity's primary goal has always been survival and prosperity for our people. We have achieved that goal. Now we seek the same for all peaceful species in the galaxy? And if other species challenge your authority? We hope they will not, President Lee replied simply. But if they do, they will find that humanity's patience has limits. Captain Nam Do-hyun commanded one of the new patrol fleets that maintained order in former Vorthak space. His ship, the Soul's Pride, now flew openly with all its weapon systems visible, a symbol of human power protecting the weak. Captain, his communications officer reported, "We are receiving a distress call from the Terran system. Pirates are attacking a civilian convoy." "Set course immediately," Captain Nam ordered. "Let us show these pirates why crime does not pay in human-protected space." The engagement was brief and decisive. The pirate ships, finding themselves facing technology they could not match, surrendered within minutes. But Captain Nam's actions sent a message throughout the galaxy. Human protection was real and effective. Engineer Han Yuri worked on the construction of new space stations designed for peaceful purposes but capable of defending themselves if necessary. "We are building the infrastructure for a safer galaxy," she explained to visiting alien engineers. "These stations will serve as trading posts, research facilities, and refuge centers. And if they are attacked, then they will demonstrate why attacking peaceful facilities is a very poor decision," she replied with a smile that carried the weight of human technological superiority. The economic impact of humanity's revelation was as dramatic as the military consequences. Human agricultural products, once traded cheaply as commodity goods, were now recognized as coming from the most advanced farming operations in the galaxy. Human-manufactured goods, previously dismissed as simple tools, were revealed to incorporate technology that alien species could barely understand. Director Oh Sung-woo, no longer hiding his role as intelligence chief, worked to establish new information-sharing agreements with alien governments. "For 50 years we gathered intelligence about every species in the galaxy," he told the council. "Now we offer to share that knowledge for the benefit of all peaceful civilizations." The psychological impact on the galaxy was perhaps the greatest change of all. Species that had dominated their regions through military might now face the reality that a single human fleet could defeat their entire armadas. But rather than seeking conquest, humanity offered partnership and protection. Commander Ryu Junseo led training exercises where human pilots worked alongside alien forces, teaching advanced combat techniques while learning about different species' approaches to warfare. "We are stronger when we work together," he explained to his mixed squadron. "Human technology combined with alien creativity makes us all more effective." Admiral Ko In-young established the new Galactic Defense Initiative, a voluntary alliance where human military technology protected member species in exchange for mutual cooperation and shared resources. "This is not an empire," she announced. "This is a partnership between equals who choose to work together." The final session of the Emergency Council meeting was held 6 months after the Vorthak defeat. President Lee So-young stood before representatives of dozens of species, no longer the leader of a small, threatened world but the voice of the galaxy's protector. "Fellow beings," she said, "humanity did not seek this position of power. We prepared for it because we understood that the galaxy was not always peaceful. Now that we have this power, we choose to use it responsibly." The Nexari representative asked the question that everyone was thinking. What guarantee do we have that humanity will not become what the Vorthak Empire was? President Lee So-young smiled, and for the first time it was not the smile of a weak species hoping for mercy, but the confident expression of a power that knew its own strength. "You have the best guarantee possible. Humanity spent 50 years preparing to fight for our survival. We did not prepare to rule others. Our weapons are designed to defend, not conquer. Our strength serves justice, not ambition." Admiral Lee Taemin stepped forward for the final statement. "The galaxy spent 50 years thinking humanity was weak because we chose peace over conflict. Now you know our true strength, but our choice remains the same. We prefer peace. We will always prefer peace, but we are prepared for anything else." As the council session ended, alien delegates filed out quietly, each carrying the knowledge that the galaxy had changed forever. The age of conquest and empire was over, replaced by an era where the strongest power chose to protect rather than dominate. Humanity had kept their greatest secret for 50 years, revealing it only when forced to defend themselves. Now that secret was known throughout the galaxy. The quiet farmers from Earth were the most dangerous species in known space, precisely because they chose not to be dangerous unless they had no other choice. The galaxy trembled not in fear, but in the silence of a universe finally at peace, protected by those who understood that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to choose when not to use that ability. Humanity had spoken softly and carried the biggest stick in galactic history, and now everyone understood why the wise species listens when the quiet ones finally choose to speak.